Now let's transition. I'm going to just show you basically the same entry signal, the same patterns on EurAud. So let's look at the 15-minute. Now, we talked about how I use yesterday's bias, how we use yesterday's price action to create trade ideas. So yesterday, which would be Thursday, we had a long idea off the 50 EMA here on EurAud. So coming into today on Friday, even though the TDI pulls itself into the sell zone beneath that 50 value, I still like to keep a long bias, especially at the end of the week. Keep the bias from the previous day. Look at the whole week, basically, it's been moving higher. So I'm not going to come in on a Friday and think, oh, this is the day it's got to reverse all the way. I think it's going to probably test some serious support and then continue in the overall trend. So when it pulls back to the 200 EMA, back to the S1 pivot line, there's actually, here on the 15-minute, you can see it, bullish divergence. See how the RSI low here is rising into that price action low here? That's not a good sign. That's telling us that something could change from the drop. It drops, becomes bullish divergent. We need to get to the 1 minute to find risk reward. So we go down to the 1 minute, and what do we see? Super clean structure. In my opinion, it's actually cleaner than the GBP CHF. So if we just look, that was the line from the 15-minute. If we're more precise and we draw it here on the 1 minute, you can see price is technically falling left to right, and the RSI shows us that it is definitely rising, right? You can see that. Just move this like that. And that there, right? So you can see that rising, and then look what happens. If we just draw structure with the pen again, the low is set here, higher, higher, higher. So you can have clear stop losses as that TDI pulls itself into the buy zone. And if that reverses and comes down into the sell zone quickly, the trade is beat. But if it continues to make higher lows, then you've caught it off a really strong support level at that 200 EMA in the direction that it's been moving all week. It's a great buy position. Now again, like we talked about on GBP CHF, the 50 EMA is in your way, but what does this do to the 50? It bodies it with one strong bar right there, and then continues to the daily pivot and actually to test high of day set in the Asian session. 70 pips with a 10 pip stop, 7-1. It's a fantastic move following the same signal, what we call a D1. So our A1 signals are breakouts, right? Maybe for a new high of day, new low of day, something like that, off a solid EMA with proper confirmation. The D1s also need proper TDI confirmation. That's kind of what I'm saving for the course. That's what I'm not going into today. But the D1s are less of a breakout entry, more of a pullback entry. So if you're looking at the overall trend, clearly it's been moving up all week. Even though today the technical side of it on the TDI wasn't great for longs, you can still keep that bias with some experience. You got to get experienced with a system, but with our system, I think this is a great trade opportunity, absolutely. And I want to also just touch on GBP AUD, because this is something we were watching all week for D1s. I mean, go back just to Wednesday here, you can see we were long, I actually got stopped out, and then it moved about 160 pips on Wednesday, another 170 on Thursday, and then Friday it just kind of chilled, but still came a little bit higher to test that Thursday high. So a lot of bullish movement on this pair after starting the week sideways. This is where we started to generate the long ideas because of the TDI. And once it broke out in the Asian session from Wednesday going into Tuesday night into Wednesday, then it was over. It picked up momentum and it never came back. But just take a look with me here. Let's turn these pivots off just to clean it up. If we just take a look, when this pulls back to the 50 EMA, you see the TDI rising, you see those EMA starting to come up, you can go to the 1 minute and use the D1 signal. Now, I would recommend you don't just go do this. You should watch our course and learn how we identify the proper entry signal. It's what we teach in the course, the D1. But you can see it again here. Same pattern, ready? Bullish divergence here because we're following the long bias. Bullish right there, RSI rising, price is falling. And what happens? I'm going to just show you higher lows. Here, same level as here, right? Here becomes a level, here, here. So you can read risk reward as it pulls the TDI up, price pulls up. You can use the most recent structure point as your stop, and you can easily come in and make money on these opportunities. Easily. This is following the D1 signal. And then that GA trade, man, if you could have had that entry and not gotten stopped like I did, this carried for 2 days. Look at that. I mean, from that entry point, let's just mark it just to see. You're talking 350 pips, 20R. Now, of course, the way that we trade, the way that I teach you guys to trade in the course, we piece ourselves out. So if we risk 10 and we go up 10, you might take a little profit depending on the grade of the setup. Or if we risk 10, we go up 20, you might take a little bit of profit. So you wouldn't be holding the full piece all the way up into the next day, but you could be holding a small piece of it. That's the way that I do it. You always want to be taking profit. That's the kicker. So I hope that now after today's video, you can see how these three ideas work together. They're all the same signal across three different pairs on three different days, basically, but it's the same pattern within the ASFX edge. So please, if you have a question, drop a comment below. I'm more than happy to explain anything about the ASFX edge other than what we teach in the course. If you want to find out more information about that, just check the link in the description. It's www.asfx.biz. Tons of information, tons of testimonials. Don't take my word for it. Just check that stuff out. So I appreciate the time. I hope today's video brought you some value. Good luck trading next week, and I hope to see you in the next video.